We cannot arrest or kill our way out of this problem. We need to ensure that we are preventing terrorism just as much as we are countering terrorism. My name is Irfan Saeed, and I'm the director of the Office of Countering Violent Extremism at the Bureau of Counterterrorism here at the State Department. Countering terrorism, I think, is the catch-all that a lot of people know about. It is the efforts we do to make sure that terrorists and terrorist organizations cannot cause harm to a lot of us around the world. Countering violent extremism is the precursor to countering terrorism. Our job is to ensure that we look at how we can prevent someone from becoming a terrorist in the first place. The first thing we have to do in trying to craft a solution to violent extremism and terrorism is understand the local communities, understand those conditions conducive on the ground that lead someone to terrorism and violent extremism. No one becomes a terrorist overnight. No one becomes radicalized overnight. Violations of civil rights and civil liberties, a violation of a person's fundamental human rights can be the most fundamental driver to violent extremism and terrorism. If you violate someone's civil rights and civil liberties, the chances of them turning to violence as a response is higher. Diplomacy is an amazing, amazing thing. It is making friends. The best time to make a friend is when you're not really asking for something. So part of our job is to go out around the world and engage. And I think at the heart of diplomacy, you're talking about engagement. You're talking about showing your partner that you are there for them, but also that you're listening to them. The great thing about engagement is that it's a two-way street. So not only do we share good practices with some of the things that we're doing right here in the United States, but we're also learning from our partners around the world who are doing some really good work. And some of those things that they're doing abroad can have some really good effects here in the United States. So we talk to governments, we talk to civil society. And by civil society, I mean those individuals who are working locally to ensure that the good practices that we are talking about can be shared at a very local level. We also talk to our multilateral partners. And by multilateral, I mean those groups and organizations that help bring people and bring communities and bring governments together. We work with a variety of our interagency partners. And by interagency, I mean those other groups in the U.S. government that are also working on counterterrorism and countering violent extremism. So from the Department of Justice and the Federal Bureau of Investigation, the National Counterterrorism Center, to our domestic colleagues at the Department of Homeland Security, Department of Education, Health and Human Services, the list goes on and on. But we also work very closely with the military. Remember, the military is what we call the sharp end of the spear. They are the ones in the true counterterrorism space. They are responding to terrorists. We want to get to a place where the military doesn't have to respond because we're doing such a good job on prevention. One of the biggest challenges we face right now in the realm of counterterrorism is how terrorist groups are leveraging and misusing the internet. It's no secret that the internet now is much more prolific than it was even just a few years ago. So it's not enough to engage Facebook, Microsoft, Google, and Twitter. We have to engage the Robloxes and the Twitches and the numerous other platforms that pop up every day. Yesterday it's Facebook, today it's Instagram. Every time we think we have a handle on how terrorist groups or violent extremists are radicalizing, recruiting, mobilizing, and inspiring on a certain platform, they're moving to another platform. So our biggest challenge is, number one, identifying what those platforms are. But number two, how do you work with the private sector? How do you work with those social media companies to get them to understand how people are misusing their platforms, and then how you can help them ensure that their platforms do not become just this unfettered access to terrorists and violent extremists. We never have 100% success rate in countering terrorism. And the danger that we have is that if we have just a little bit of failure, that everyone thinks that it's not working and we have to scrap the program or scrap the initiative and do something else. Countering violent extremism and countering terrorism is a long-term change. It's a generational change sometimes. And we have to have the patience to ensure that we're operating and we're sharing good practices and we're building those engagements and we're building those relationships for the long term, not the short term.